Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and RockAuto.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Thank you, Alec Webb. Welcome, everyone, to MotorWeek podcast number 227. And we're obviously not in our studio at Maryland Public Television in Owings Mills, Maryland. We're all basically in our own homes because our state of Maryland has got a do not go out order. And we hope everybody is obeying the orders in their state and maybe even going above and beyond that. But on our podcast today, we've got kind of the usual characters. We've got writer and two-wheeling reporter Brian Robinson.
Hey there, John. Greetings from Carroll County. We're just
Nice to see you, Brian.
Hunkered down out here. I'm bathing everything in Clorox and hoarding TP.
Yeah, Clorox is becoming our favorite friend. Our over-the-edge reporter, Greg Carlos.
Hey, I feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch, so let me see if I can figure out if I can look down at you, John. Hey, how you doing, man?
You're in Frederick County, right?
I am in Frederick County,
Yeah.
but apparently the virus has made it here too, so no one is safe.
No one is safe. And we also have our road test producer, Kyle Scanlon, who is not out road testing and producing right now.
Unfortunately not, no, but greetings from Anne Arundel down here in Edgewater.
And for those of you that are wondering, we're recording this on April Fool's Day, April the 1st, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, some new vehicles also. But let's start off with really how MotorWeek is reacting to this COVID-19 crisis. Obviously, we have stopped, as of this week, producing new programs, which is the first time in 39 years we've actually had a pause in production. The staff was working very, very hard. Everybody you see here and more to get new shows out over the next few weeks, but it just wasn't worth the risk of continuing. So what you'll be seeing this weekend is probably an evergreen show on public television. On Motor Trend, we've still got a couple weeks left of new programming. Then we'll be going into some of the best of our 39th season. And we think that will get us through this crisis. But that's really what we're doing on air and on cable. Greg and everybody else at MotorWeek is hard at work in keeping our social media and our YouTube channel flooded with new material. By the end of this week, you'll be seeing the Corvette Stingray track test that was scheduled for the broadcasting cable show this weekend. It will be up on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/MotorWeek. Also, if you'll check our website, motorweek.org, over on the This Just In category, you'll see a notation about what we're doing. And it includes information on a new retro road test marathon that our ex-staffer, but still very much connected, Ben Davis, has put together with Jessica Ray, our IT guru. And for the month of April, we'll have several different marathons running at 2 different times, also on our YouTube channel. We expect to continue to be very active on our social media. And if any new vehicles come out, we'll be doing on our website a little first look / first drive on them. And we've got a couple that we think we're going to probably do. All of this will be doled out over a period of weeks. But we want to let you know, along with our This Just In daily news items, we're live and kicking and can't wait to get back and push the pedal down. Anybody want to add anything? Kyle was in the middle of doing several road tests when we had to shut down. Brian Robinson has got lots of scripts written for me to edit. And our podcast producer, Greg up here, is ready to put stuff together and get it out to you. So with that said, if you are interested, a lot has been written about the Corvette Stingray. We've already aired a street drive of it. However, we did have a chance, or Dave Scrivener from our staff had a chance to actually put it to the test on the track. We're doing a lot of publicity about it. It was our car of the month for April. And lo and behold, that show's not going to get out right now, but you will be able to see that test by the end of the week on our YouTube channel. Let's talk about the Corvette briefly. Most everybody's now had a little bit of experience, at least learning about the car. Is there anything about the car that you want to talk about? I mean, and we all know it's different. It's the first rear drive Corvette. Brian, you're always can see things better than anybody else about me.
Well, I don't know about that. I definitely need to get my eyes checked. But the only first rear engine, at least behind the driver, mid-engine. I was just glad to hear from Skriv's comments on the track that it pretty much lived up to, all the hype instead of, battling oversteer all the time. Now it's a little more of an understeer with a lot of potential there for more and just a lot more responsive. So it was a good year.
About Kyle or Greg, any comments from what you've read so far and seen so far?
Kyle.
Well, I got to say, I really enjoy the styling of it. I know a lot of people probably aren't going to be a fan of this, but I've never been a huge fan of Corvettes. I've never really liked the styling. I've been in a few years and years ago, but I haven't been in a new one for quite some time. But I just never could get behind how they chose with the styling on the exterior. And when they moved it to the engine to the rear like that, I am in love with it now. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So that's one thing that's really changed me over to actually a bigger fan of or even just a fan, period, of the Corvette, is how it looks now compared to what it used to look like.
Yeah, I don't know when we're actually going to get one in here at work. It's going to be a while, I suspect. Greg, I can tell you, having been in it, you'll fit. Greg Saul.
That's always a good thing. Yeah, it seems like they started with a good baseline. Like it may seem a little tame on paper, but I think it's a very good starting point by all accounts. And they're already talking about Z06s and the next variants that are going to be, probably upwards of 700 horsepower. And
an electric one too, probably.
Yeah, so I think while some people may not be blown away with this one, I would say just wait, because we're going to get some really, really amazing versions here shortly.
Let's move on to what we're going to be seeing more and more of, and that is because of all the auto show cancellations, and we'll get into that in a minute. We're getting digital online reveals. There was one this week from Korea, a car we had already seen renderings of, the new Genesis G80. They did a digital reveal and have real pictures of it out now. In a nutshell, this is still another sedan. Their GV80 is still coming, their first SUV. But I don't know, any of you guys catch up on it, and you have any comments on what you saw?
I was really happy with the way it looked. I think it's the grill is huge, but every grill is huge at this point. But I think the profile lines are spectacular. Inside, they went, I guess, a little more minimalist, if that kind of makes sense. It's not totally barren or Spartan by any means, but I think they kind of just took it down to the essentials of a luxury sedan, and I think they did a really nice job. So personally, I think it looks stunning from the outside and the inside.
Do you have any comment? Anybody have any comment on the new lighting design, which they've already did on the 90 and showed on the GV80, where they call it it's quad 2-line.
Yeah, it definitely looks pretty trick. The styling overall, they went for more of a coupe-like design. And the car, it looks huge. I mean, I don't know how big it is in the real world, but it looks huge, very luxurious. It should be, I didn't realize that, and I may be wrong saying this, but I thought I heard the former head of Bentley Design is now the head of design there.
Well, that might be true. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense, because it does have a Bentley kind of look to it.
That's funny you say that, because as I was looking at it, I said that it has a lot of Bentley characteristics to it. So, I mean, that, not knowing the actual truth, I would say there's a good chance.
As far as handling, the last G80 actually wasn't a bad car. But Kyle, you just finished doing the road test on the G90, the bigger car, which has been revamped. What kind of road manners are we starting to see at Genesis? They've obviously been improving. The 70 was excellent, but are you seeing a little more sport in their luxury, or what?
I mean, the G70, like you said, that was absolutely fantastic, and that car could move. Unfortunately, we didn't get to bring that one to the track, which I would have loved to have been behind the wheel of that car at the track. But the G90, it was, you could tell it was much bigger, much heavier. you know, decent amount of body roll going through the slalom test and all of that. But with the 5.0 in it, you know, it could get up there pretty quick. And unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties with our track box for getting acceleration times. But knowing where the quarter mile is on the track, it was getting upwards of probably 112, 115 miles an hour on different runs. So it definitely has the power to get the car up there pretty quickly. The thing though is it's big. It's just a big sedan for sure. You can tell pulling in the parking spaces and, you know, driving it for daily driving use. It almost felt like I was driving my truck sometimes with getting that thing in and out of some parking spaces, especially with a packed grocery store and all that kind of stuff with everything going on. But for a luxury vehicle, I could definitely put it up there on the top of the list, especially where they're selling those cars at their price points. But I liked it. I did like it. It didn't blow me away necessarily, but it has, you know, a little bit of sport pedigree in there. So it definitely, you know, you put it in sport mode, very reactive throttle, and the steering tightens up a little bit. Suspension gets slightly tighter, not a whole lot. Like I said, it's still kind of roly-poly and loose on the road, but it's a well-made vehicle, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're trying to.
Nice tea, everybody. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
I'm not sure they're trying to inject that much sport into the G90. I think they're kind of not going the opposite direction, but just making a statement that, you know, it's all about luxury, more of an old school luxury ride. You know, G70 is certainly in the performance end of it.
Yeah.
And it's his brand for the time being.
It really looks like a luxury car, the 90, and so is the 80. While we've got everybody together, we've parceled out our vehicles, our long-term vehicles amongst everyone. Let's kind of go around and talk about some of the long-terms. Has anyone here got the VW Arteon? If not, just what your experience has been in it.
Scrivener had that one, but I had it right before he did. We swapped out. Yeah, that's been a pleasant surprise to come on.
Nice looking car, another one.
Yeah, and it's not the R line that we had into tests when we did our road test, I believe, but still a nice looking vehicle. People definitely ask questions about it. I mean, because it looks so good at first glance, I think people are wondering, is that an Audi? Or like,
exactly.
Why does that Audi have a Volkswagen badge? Right. It's comfortable on the inside. It's very Volkswagen. It's got that premium feel, and I think we even said in our road test or even our most recent long-term update, it's not quite Audi level, but it's close.
A lot less money.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're still relatively rare. I mean, I hardly ever see them. They've been on sale for, I guess, close to 2 years now.
Yeah.
And you just never see them. So anytime someone sees it, they really don't even know what it is. But
I remember thinking when the CC was out, and it looked big, but it looked big in pictures and then even walking up to it. But when you got in it, it's not a big car. Mm-hmm. I'd say the opposite about the Arteon. It's bigger when you get inside.
Mm-hmm. Anybody got the 500X, the Fiat?
Junkie does.
You know, I really kind of like it. It you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a Mini. It's, you know, the Mini SUV. It's about the same size, and I think there's a lot of chatter on the internet that's not very favorable to the 500X, but really it's, what is it, the Jeep Renegade that it's similar to?
Yeah, it's Jeep Renegade. I may not go as far as that, what you were saying, but I don't not like it as much as I was expecting to. How about that? I
think it's kind of fun, and it's, you know, it's quirky enough inside. You just don't feel like you're in an everyday vehicle, and it's the space, the package. Fiat's always been pretty good about packaging, and at least in recent years. And it's a nice package inside. You can get a lot of stuff in it. And it's, I don't know what it's been doing. It's doing, what, almost 27 miles per gallon. That's not bad.
Yeah, and that was a lot of urban miles. And I'll speak to that because just driving through the city, I just left auto stop start on. I'm not even sure if you can turn it off. Some cars at this point aren't capable of doing that, but I'm pretty sure you can in this car. Either way, I left it on, and it's actually pretty smooth. Not a lot of four cylinders are that smooth, but this one I was totally fine with.
If anybody's hearing one of my dogs barking, there must be a delivery guy outside. Porsche Macan, I think everybody loves it pretty much, 21.7 miles per gallon. But any other comments about it?
Yeah, I won the lottery on that one. I've had that for the last couple of weeks.
You did win.
Unfortunately, I've just mainly been at home most of the time. But when I have gotten out, I mean, it's just such a fun vehicle to drive. You almost forget it's an SUV every time you get behind the wheel, and it's comfortable. The tech is great. I can't think of anything I don't like about it.
Kyle, what are you driving?
I just have my vehicle because I was supposed to switch out for our
odd man out, huh?
Yeah, I was supposed to switch out for the regular test cars, but now that we're shut down, I don't have a car.
Mitsubishi Outlander has been a pleasant surprise to everyone. PHEV, 24 miles per gallon, kind of a dated design that, I don't know, it's certainly surprised me.
Yeah, I enjoy driving it, and obviously I like the plug-in time, but I still think it should get better mileage.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned.
I might have made a typo on that one. Shouldn't it be 34?
Yeah, it's definitely more than 24.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's closer to 34. My big fingers might have just hit the 2 instead of the 3.
And when you look at the size of it, and you look at comparable packages out there that are electrified, it's really an excellent package. I think it's been very underrated by the media in general. So we're quite happy with it. Nissan Altima, another excellent sedan trying to survive in an SUV world, 29 plus miles per gallon on that. But just a nice car. Nice. If you just want a nice car that's reliable, it's what it is.
Yeah, every time I get into it, I'm like, wow, I forgot how nice this was. I think I had it. It's got all-wheel drive, which was cool. I think I had it the only time we got any little hint of snow this winter. And a little bit I drove it through. Seemed to do really well. It's the same system as the Rogue and all the other crossovers, so we expect it to do well.
And I've got the Palisade from Hyundai, which it's won just about it, along with the Telluride at Kia, won just about every SUV award there is this year. 22.7 miles per gallon on the highway, though. For a big 3-rower, it's doing 26, 27. Very comfortable. The seats are really, you think they're hard, but you can drive it for 6 or 7 hours, and it's very comfortable. There have been some other comments about the infotainment system being a little fussy. Certain buttons that say things like menu and so forth don't really get you to what you think you ought to be getting to. So a little quirky about that. But I think they've done an amazing package of making in any other life, it would be a luxury SUV. It lacks a few of the bells and whistles, but it's a pretty terrific piece of work. And if I was out looking for a Highlander or a Pilot or anything else, and by the way, right now, if you do have a way of buying a new car, there's some amazing deals out there. But the Palisade is pretty terrific, and I think we're really glad to have it in our fleet. We do have some other things to skip to before we tire everybody out with their podcast. We've got a lightning round. Let's just talk a little bit. First, it was Geneva canceling their motor show. Then the New York show is supposedly going to happen in August. And this week, of course, Detroit canceled its show because the TCF Center, what we used to call Cobo Hall, is being turned into a hospital in Detroit. So, here we are. The virus has caused online debuts to happen, major auto shows to shut down or be pushed away. Do you think this pandemic is going to change auto shows and new product reveals in the future? I mean, we were already going to the point where so many events were not happening at auto shows. Is this going to be kind of like the final shove?
Yeah, you kind of hit on it there at the end of where I was going. That kind of been a long process. I mean, and the auto manufacturers themselves are to blame. I mean, it used to be when you went to a show that you didn't know what was going to be there. Now everything's out there on the internet by the manufacturers, not someone trying to scoop stuff. They're putting it all out there before the show even starts. So they've been somewhat, I wouldn't use the word irrelevant, but they've been heading in this direction for a while now. And I just saw this morning Paris canceled as well. So you can add that one to the list. So it's been a long time coming for sure.
Any other comments?
Yeah, well, I mean, it does a lot for the consumer though, because it's not just open the press days when we see it. So for us, could it change things a little bit? Could they shorten the press days or not do such extravagant reveals in person? I could definitely see that happening, but I think they still want to get to the consumer and have a stage where they can just walk around the cars and talk to professionals and try to sell them some of these cars.
Thanks for pointing out how jaded and selfish I am as an automotive.
No,
it's because it's happened to me. So
yeah, I think they're absolutely still relevant for the public.
Yeah, there's something to be said about actually being, around the car in person. It was like you were saying with certain pictures of vehicles, you can get a feel that something might be kind of big or long or wide or, any of that. But until you're actually standing next to it and, get to sit on the inside and feel the vehicle for a little bit, there definitely is something about that hands-on aspect that I feel like needs to stay there, where digital reveals, they can't express that in the same way.
You can't compare vehicles. I mean, you go to an auto show, suppose you want a 3-row SUV and you hear us talking about wonderful the Palisade and Telluride is, but you own a Honda, so you want to go see how it compares to the Pilot or a Highlander Toyota. You can't do that anywhere else. You can't wear your winter coat and look at a digital reveal and get an idea of whether it's comfortable or not.
Exactly.
Okay, we do have a reviewer question to wrap up this podcast. Randy has a bone to pick with windshield wiper fluid, washer fluid. And I know it's at the end of the winter, but it's a good question. He lives in Chicago, and he's noticed that modern washer fluid does not work as it should in cold weather, as it often freezes on the windshield. After talking with an unnamed source, Randy decided to add a small amount of antifreeze to his washer fluid. He says it works fantastic. He wants us to discuss it. Let me start. I went to our guru, Pat Goss, and he did a video a while back. He pointed out that if you do add antifreeze to washer fluid, if you add too much, you've got the possibility of damaging the paint as it drips down off the windshield. You also have a oily mixture, glycol in there that can smear the windshield. My personal feeling is, Randy, are you draining the tank first, or are you there are lots of different winter washer fluids. Some are good to 0, some are good to -25, -35. But if you mix it with something that's already in the system, you're diluting it. So maybe you could step up and buy a different fluid before you risk doing anything else.
That was my question. Is he talking about like automotive antifreeze or like the RV style and boat antifreeze? I'm not sure which one he's using.
Sounded like he's using radiator antifreeze.
Yeah, so the question was a little bit longer than this one. I paraphrased, and if I missed anything, I'm sorry to Randy, but he had mentioned specifically just the classic green antifreeze that he had been using. But obviously it seems to me there's environmental concerns if you're shooting it onto your windshield and it falls down onto the road and then it's off into the watershed. It's just, you can't have everybody putting just classic antifreeze in their windshield wiper fluid.
Brian's comment about RV antifreeze, which is basically, at least I think it's less harmful to the environment. I guess I'd try that. But yeah, for the price you're going to pay for RV antifreeze, you can go buy a gallon of -35 windshield washer stuff. So I'm not sure where you're saving any money there, and maybe doing some damage all the way around.
Yeah,
you had experience with it. We don't get that cold in Maryland, so.
Well, I've had it freeze. I think it's really made just to not freeze in the tank.
Right.
Depending on the nozzle that's coming out of, sometimes it comes out in a pretty fine mist, which that wouldn't take much to make it freeze. So I'm not really sure what you could do on that.
Kyle, you're a California boy. You probably don't even use the stuff.
Oh no, I'm all over. I spent 6 years in Burlington, Vermont as well, so I know.
That's right, I forgot.
And I had to say, in my experience up there, we had some really, really severe winters when I was up there, and I never had this problem. I had days I'd be getting ready to go to the mountain to go snowboarding, and it'd be -14 degrees, -20 degrees at 6 in the morning, and you'd still have to spray on the wiper to get some salt off your windshield. And I never had this issue. For Randy, I'd say maybe he just needs to shop around a little bit, find that -15, -30 windshield wiper fluid, because I lived in a very cold environment and I never once had it freezing on my windshield.
I've seen plenty of them online. They're only good down to 0.
Okay.
And that's clearly not good enough. Okay, with that, everybody, let's wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for this MotorWeek Podcast 227. Special thanks out there to our advertisers, Rock Auto and TireRack.com, for being such terrific supporters. Just a word to everybody. Every state's different, has different rules. Go by the rules. I think the social mitigation is what we're going to have to do in order to beat this invisible enemy. I know if you get a stay-at-home order, don't go out for any reason unless you got to go food or medical or whatever. Do what you're supposed to do so we can all beat it, because not only do we want to limit the amount of harm it's doing to all of us and everybody out there, but we want to get back on the air, and the quicker we can get this thing over, the quicker we can get MotorWeek back in gear and start providing you with all the information that you need. And believe me, coming out of this is going to be one heck of a buyer's car market. There's going to be a lot of vehicles to buy and a lot of great deals, and we want to be able to tell you about all of that. But right now, the fundamental thing is stay in place if you've been told to, and be safe. And I hate to say it, wash your hands a lot. We don't get to thank our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, today, who normally makes us sound terrific, but Jim's at home, and thank him for all of his effort. Greg, you've pretty much done everything today. You produced this and put this all together. Thank you very much, sir. Brian Robinson and Kyle, thanks for making yourselves available. And by the way, we're going to do this again about once every 2 weeks, just like we normally do. And we're going to be doing some other little chats online as we go along. So check our website and our YouTube channel for that. Till next time, I'm John Davis. Thanks, everyone, for being a part of MotorWeek.
You've been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and RockAuto.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series, each week on your local PBS station.